So, hi everyone, and welcome to the second session of the Google Online Marketing Bootcamp. My name is Anastasia. I'm the account manager on the Norwegian team, working primarily with the large advertisers. And together with me, I have 2.5 Nooglers, really smart guys who have joined. Right. So, yeah, okay, they're not really Nooglers. So we have, you're allowed to take off your hats. So we have two specialists with us who have kindly agreed to join our session and share their insights and their experience on the areas such as search, how search works. So we'll talk a little bit more about this, and also conversion tracking. So shall we do a quick round of introductions?
Hi guys, my name is Sophia. I am part of the global support team and working especially with measurement products. So I've been working with Google Analytics, and now I'm focusing more on conversion tracking. I've been in Google for a year and a half, based in Dublin.
Excellent. And I'm Martin. Hi guys. You really picked a great picture.
Yeah,
super
I do
Irish. Nice. Yeah. So I work in Dublin as a search specialist for the Dutch team, and I've been with Google for about 2.5 years now, and mainly focusing on search.
Thank you, guys. So if you have started to review the certifications, so if you started to look at the the AdWords fundamentals and the advanced search, you would know by now that we as Google offer companies the options to advertise across search, display, and YouTube. So on search, the companies can run their text ads and shopping ads. On display, they have other options such as image ads, banner ads, and even text ads, which they can run across the different websites on the internet. And finally, on YouTube as well, we have a variety of different video formats. So display and YouTube are going to be a topic of the session, which comes in exactly a week's time. So not next week, but the week after. But this session and the next session will be focusing primarily on search. So the idea today is to give you an introduction into how search works, and also help you understand how you can navigate the account, the different elements of the AdWords account, and the components of the campaign structure. To help you set the campaigns up in the most effective way. And more specifically, we will look at what types of ads you can have on search, where the ads will actually show, and again, what you can actually do with your ads to make sure that they appear among the first results. So the types of optimizations that you could do there. And finally, as I mentioned, Martin will also show us the structure. So we will walk a little bit through that. And another really, really important component, before you even start setting up your search campaigns, you will have to make sure that you have your conversion tracking set up properly and correctly. So Sophia will take us through the different options and also tell us a little bit about the different uses of conversion tracking. Sure. Anything I have forgotten to mention?
No, I think that's pretty much it. Let's do it.
Good. All right. So throughout the session, you will have a chance to post your questions. There's a live chat beside the video that you're watching. If you don't see that live chat, then it's very likely that you're probably watching this video from the GOMB website. If you're on the website, and if you just take your mouse over the video where it plays, in the right-hand corner, basically, you'll see a YouTube logo. Click on that, it will take you to the YouTube channel, and then once you're there, you'll actually see the live chat. Please post your questions throughout. We will try and address some of those questions, depending a little bit on the time and how much time we spend on this. For all the questions we won't have the time to answer, we will take them to the G+ community and make sure that we actually give you the answers to that. So now, I will steal a little bit of your time still, guys, so you'll have to wait for a little bit more. And before we deep dive into search, I just wanted to start with a few housekeeping points to ensure we are all on the same page and that everybody knows what your focus really should be this week. So first of all, if you still haven't formed a team, you should really be thinking about this right now, and also you should be selecting a team captain. If you do not have a team yet, and you do not really know the students which other students have registered from your university, we have created a document and shared a document with you on G+, in the community. Use that, find the correct tab, and just fill in your name, and hopefully that will help you to connect with your peers. We received a question on whether you can work with the students from the other universities. That is absolutely fine. The only thing to remember is if you are, there should be in your group, there should be at least one student that comes from the same university as the professor that you will be registering under. So if your professor comes from University X, then you need at least one student coming from that University X. So I hope that was easy to understand. So once you have a team, it's only team captain that needs to register for GOMC under a specific and dedicated professor. So not all the members of the team should be registering, it's only a team captain. Which professor you have is something that either has been communicated to you directly already, or maybe you will be receiving an email about this, or yet another way of checking who your professor is and their email address is again going to that shared document on the G+ community. Selecting a business is also something that is really, really important for you to think about this week. Remember to, first of all, review the recommendations for choosing the right business on the GOMC, so on the Challenge website. I absolutely recommend you to also check the examples of the pre-campaign reports and the reports and the examples of the businesses that previous students have selected, simply just to get an idea of what worked well and just to get a little bit of more varied examples on that. The businesses really can be both big and small. It doesn't really matter. So the size really, is not the factor that is, the most important in selecting it. What is probably more important is for you to try and avoid the competitive sectors and competitive industries. And there are some industries which we kind of know by definition would have more competition. So, for example, insurance. Probably businesses within finance, they would typically be a little bit more competitive. And the reason for why we basically suggest to avoid them is because you have a set budget and you probably won't be able to really compete with them. And there's also other businesses that would simply have a few restrictions on them in terms of what they can advertise and how much. And those would be, the typical would be alcohol, for example, and gaming. So try and avoid those businesses. More examples of them and the sectors will be again on the GOMC website. How you can identify and know for sure whether it's competitive or not, well, there's different ways. The most basic and simple one would be for you to actually just Google them. Just Google, do a few searches and see if you get a lot of results back and a lot of the ads coming up, then probably that's an indication of there being a lot of other players bidding on the keywords that you will probably be bidding on. And another way, which is probably a little bit maybe more scientific way or a more secure way of doing it, is actually using a keyword planner. A keyword planner is a tool we will look at and go through in a little bit more detail during the next session. But really, nothing should stop you from just exploring it. Find the materials. There's plenty of materials. I'm sure there's probably even a hangout on there about the keyword planner and how to use it. So just please feel free to go ahead and try that out yourself. One more thing to mention when it comes to selecting businesses, that is, and again, probably you wouldn't be thinking of this as the first thing, but it's actually quite a deciding factor, and that is the landing page. So, because at the end of the day, it's your landing page that will be converting or helping to convert those users coming. So it's only that much we can do in terms of sending that traffic, but we also depend on a good landing page. And also Martin will tell you a little bit more about this. So landing page, how mobile friendly it is, how user friendly it is, can actually have a major impact on the campaign results. So have a look at that. There are specific landing page and site quality guidelines, which you again can find on the website. So I keep sending you to this website. So I hope I really got my message through also last time when I was saying, really, I recommend go through all of the websites. There's a lot of links that are really helpful. And one final thing on selecting a business, before you decide to, actually regardless of whether you are phoning them or whether you're sending them an email, there is a template for a letter that you can send to businesses. Go through that simply because it can give you, a better idea of how you can position this competition when you actually propose to businesses or ask them whether they would like to work with you on this. So a couple of pointers there. Hope they are helpful. Some other things. If you haven't started, there's a lot of details, but these are really important. If you haven't started looking at or going through the certifications yet, this is the time. Really start deep diving into AdWords. The two maybe certifications that are really important for now would be the AdWords fundamentals again, because this is more about search. So this session and next session again are about search. Go through the fundamentals, go through advanced search as well, because these sessions are really meant to give you the most important things, the most important information, which we feel is really key to understand. But really, I don't think you can kind of expect that you will be fully ready and ramped up to start running your campaigns after just watching this. So set aside some time and go through those additional materials. And finally, a really, really, really important thing, and this is actually the last thing for me, I promise, and that is, one thing is listening to us and reading about this, or listening to other people telling you about AdWords and how things work. And a completely different thing is actually sitting in the account and doing that in practice. So my recommendation would be create a test account and start playing a little bit with the structure. So after the session, really create that account, go in, try to understand what is the account level, what is the campaign level, where do we have the keywords, how is this whole thing organized? Very, very important. If you create it in a normal way, the way businesses would do, you would have to put in your billing information, basically your credit card. We don't really want you to do this, and we don't expect you to do this. If you go via a link on a GeoMC website, again, sending you to the same place, but if you go to the frequently asked questions section and then under competition logistics, there would be a particular part or a section where they will be giving you a link. If you follow that link and create an account through that link, you can skip filling in the billing information, so you don't need to use your credit card. Yeah, so create an account, a lot of things from me, and yeah, I promise this is it. So let's move on and start looking at search. And I think, first of all, let's even understand where are the ads when we look at the search results page?
Yeah. Let's really start at the basics. So when you Google something in Google, and I'm sure all of you guys did that, there's a couple of layers that you see in the search result that are kind of different things. And you might not have noticed how they differ, but there's a couple of sections. So first of all, at the top of the search result page, you're going to see the query that you typed. So that is fundamental for AdWords. We'll get back to that a little bit later. But if you look at the structure of the search result page, there's actually three components. So the first one is the product listing ads or the shopping ads. So those are ads that show a picture, but actually the advertiser is paying for the clicks that people perform on those pictures. It's very intuitive. In this particular case, someone is looking for diapers. You click on a picture that shows you diapers, it's super intuitive. Then the second layer, and that's kind of the most familiar one from a Google perspective because it's a lot older than the shopping ads, are the text ads. So in the text ads, you have a lot of room to kind of tell people about your product, about what you're offering. There's a lot of extra components that you can add there as well. So AdWords was kind of fundamentally based on those text ads, and the shopping ads kind of came a bit later. And then below that, you've got the organic results. So the organic results are the non-paid results. So in that sense, Google is kind of determining in relation to the query what's the most relevant page for you, but it's not being paid for by advertisers. So it's an organic ranking in that sense. So having an understanding of how that builds up, it's really important to understand as well how AdWords kind of works. So that's what we get started with. Now, if you look in particular at AdWords, maybe it's good, but like a lot of people ask, why do I want to do AdWords if there's organic rankings, right? So Google tells me this is a super relevant page. Why do I need the ads? I'm just going to pay for the clicks. But there's a lot of reasons why you might still use the ads. So just to give you a couple of reasons, it gives you a lot more control over the message that you're actually sending out. So with organic, Google pretty much determines what's in the organic listing. So we'll often take the name of the page and maybe a snippet of text from the website. But you have no or very little control over that. Let's say if you have like a promotion that you want to show or a particular product when someone's looking for something, you actually have the room in the ad to kind of show that, explain them why they should buy it with you, and maybe show them some other products that might be relevant as well. So for example, with the diapers, they might also be interested in strollers. So having links in your ad to direct them to strollers might be super beneficial in that sense. Then the other thing is, as you can see in the search result page, is that the ads show at the top. So they press down the organic listings a little bit as well. So if you want to make sure that people are able to find you when they're looking for your product, you actually have to make sure that you're up top. So it gives you extra room in the search results to actually show your product instead of kind of being pushed down.
But also maybe just having both as well. Like if you're strong on organic and then also like taking space, making sure that you're actually present in the searches that are relevant for you.
Absolutely. The thing is, again, and I think a lot of people kind of overlook that, is that a lot of the clicks happen above the fold. And what I mean by that is like the area that you see immediately when you get the search results. So people, even though it's like a small action, people don't really scroll. So if by doing that, you can kind of ensure that you both have your ad and your organic listing there, it also means that people are very likely to visit your website instead of going somewhere else. So having both is extremely beneficial. And like I said, it gives you a lot of control over what you can show extra as well. So what I said about the strollers, and I'm not sure if we can show the example, but the example shows that even though someone is looking for diapers, you actually have the power in the ad, and you can see that in the bottom circle, to kind of show other products as well. Because you might not only be selling diapers, you actually want to make people aware that you sell more products as well, and especially with babies. There's a lot of stuff that you probably need, so showing someone to come to your website, even though you're called diapers.com, is that you still have a lot of other products as well. So it gives you a lot more control over the message that you're sending, instead of what you see with organic results, where you kind of have to depend on Google. And then the second layer is also like after the click, and you mentioned it as well in what you were saying about the landing page and the importance of that. So the click is only one part of the story. People land on your website and you kind of want them to do something there which is beneficial for your business. So what the ads allow you to do is actually test with different landing pages. So does it make sense to, in this case, land on a page where you're just going to show diapers? Or does it make sense to land on a page where you see all kinds of products that are applicable for babies? And you can actually measure everything. So someone that lands on this page might perform very different from someone that lands on a page with just diapers. And looking at the conversion rates and having an understanding of which one is more likely to lead to buying something is something that you can do a lot in AdWords and with search ads. Then the other thing, and I'm quite sure they've all used it, is especially on mobile, there's a lot of information on location. So in our case, if you're in Dublin, you're going to get search results that tell you things about the area. So if I'm looking for a flower shop, for example, it's going to show me results of the area that I'm in and where the closest flower shop is. But here kind of the same thing applies as well. We'll provide organic rankings, which will often tell you where the shop is, if they're still open, maybe as in this case, how to get there. But for you as an advertiser, there's not really a way of explaining why people should come to you. So that makes it still relevant to have ads where you can actually propose to people, look, you're looking for a flower shop, but we have the best discount you're ever going to find, and we're super close. So it's, again, something that works together very well. You've got the organic listings and the ads. It gives you a lot more control to actually drive business. Does that make sense?
It does. I actually have a question. So would you then say that the information you should be including into your paid text ads, those results that will be coming, does it need to be different? Like, do you always have to think that what you show organically is already there, so you should be informing of something else?
I think the best, like, there's not really one conclusive answer to that. I think the best answer is to test it. So that's another cool thing about AdWords in general, is that you can test with multiple ads. So if you put in an ad that's quite similar in scope to what you would see in your organic listings, you can actually test if that works better than an ad that's very explicit about, I don't know, your discounts or other services that you offer. So that kind of helps you as well to kind of figure out what people find important. Is it the discount? Is it the fact that something is in stock? Is it the fact that you're super close? So that really helps you. So use organic rankings as kind of an indication on what Google finds important, and like pick out the elements that you want to test in your ad. There might be some things in there that work very well in that. There might be things that work not so well. You're going to be able to figure it out. So having multiple ads tested at the same time is going to be very beneficial.
Okay, so the takeaway here, have multiple ads and try out the different things to see what works.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And just to keep it easy, especially when you start out and if you don't have millions and millions of budget, start with 2 ads and make one small change. So make one change in the headline, for example. Because if one works better than the other, you actually know that it's that particular part. So if there is 3 things that are different, you're not really sure which part of the ad was actually making the ad perform better. So if you just change the headline, make a small change in what you want to communicate, you can actually see if that performs better. And also be sure to look at the metrics. And I don't think we're going to go into the metrics too much today, but
we'll have a session on that.
Fair enough, then don't go too deep into that. But there's different ways of measuring success. But be sure to kind of incrementally improve your ads, like changing small bits and understanding what's actually helping your customers better, because that's in the end what we're trying to do.
We'll touch a little bit about that in conversion tracking, actually.
Oh, really? Nice.
Oh, good.
Nice.
We're safe.
Not too much.
We're all covered. We're all covered.
All right.
Okay, let's go into the nitty-gritty of it, because it's actually funny when you talk about it. Explaining to your parents how the auction works and how search works, this is always a bit tricky. We were just talking about it before the session, that sometimes you get so caught up in search that we have to go back to the basics. So let's start with the basics. Yeah. Search seems fairly simple, but there's a lot of complexity when you go under the hood. So when you look at the auction and the ranking within the search result, there's a super smart system behind it. But in principle, there's 3 components that you have to be aware of. First of all, it's your bid. So you're paying per click in AdWords, and you actually tell Google what you're willing to pay for a particular click, and that's going to be your bid. So in determining the order of who's going to be in the search results and who's going to be up top and who's going to be number 4, the bid plays a big role. But it's not the only thing, because a lot of people seem to kind of assume that if I just bid high enough, I'll always be in position number 1, and that's not really how it works, which is why the second component is there, which is the quality score. And it's kind of, let's say, Google's secret sauce. So the quality score, and when you go and play around in your AdWords account, you'll see a quality score attached to keywords. So we'll get to the keywords later. But it's normally a ranking between 1 and 10. That's what you're going to see in your AdWords account. But in reality, it's actually a really complicated metric. There is hundreds of components that make up the quality score. But to bring it down to easy terms, it principally says, are you advertising for something that's relevant for the users? Do you have a relevant ad, and do they come to your website and then find what they expect to find there? That's in principle what you're going for. So are you delivering high quality content with a high quality ad that's targeted to users that actually look for the product that you're offering? So that's really important. We'll get to the quality score a bit later as well. And then the last bit is the extensions. So especially with text ads, there's a lot of things that you can control with the messaging in the ad. So there's a headline, there's like a text underneath, but then there's also extensions. And extensions are like smart additions to the ad that you can add to the ad to give a little bit more information. And there's a lot of different ones. Just to give you a brief overview, and this is probably not the clearest slide to go look at in one glance, but there's so many.
Sorry about that. I take that feedback.
It is always impossible to avoid because there's so many extensions now, but they all have their own little purpose. So just as an example, location extensions are really cool. So especially on mobile, you can actually set the location of your business, which would be separate from like the ad text. It would be a separate extension, which tells Google if someone is in the area, this is the location where my store is, and it will be added to the ad. So there's a lot of like small snippets that you can add to your ad to make it more relevant and to direct users to the right spot on your website. So extensions are important in like determining the quality of your ads and the likelihood of people clicking. But the main focus should still be on optimizing your bid and especially your quality, because the quality is fundamental.
So out of those three, you would say that the quality and the bids, and then there's extension. Do we say something is more important than or less important?
Well, the thing is, like, it all ties together. Yeah. But in the end, you're going to be best off if you provide high quality. So someone is looking for something. You want to be there with an offering that makes sense for that person. And then you want them to come to your website and find something that they want to find. So in principle, it all comes back to you in the end wanting a conversion, whatever that may be. So optimizing towards that means that you have to provide high quality, and then the bid kind of comes second in that sense. Like, the bid is important to determine your ranking, so it allows you to get more people in, but you want to make sure that you bring in the people that actually.
And I also think that actually this ties very much into the conversation we had previously last week when we talked about the quality, because of course this is these are the ads, but as Google we actually do care a lot about the quality. So quality would always be really, really important, because we, first of all, we would like our users to feel that whatever we are serving them or showing them is actually relevant to them. So quality will always be a very, very important part of this. And actually, I think you have more to say about quality, yeah?
Yeah, like we started off, it's important to understand how the auction works and not to rely too much on just setting high bids. High bids are like a shortcut to getting high positions, and in some cases it's necessary. But focusing on delivering high quality will really help you. And maybe the best way to explain how the auction works is actually on the next slide. So let's say I'm advertiser number one. We're still like in the diaper auction. There's actually a lot of advertisers that want to do something and kind of promote their offering. But as you can see already in the example, there's a lot of difference in the quality score. So apparently with mydiapers.com, I am extremely high quality. So the ads are great. The landing page is really good.
People are going to
click my ads. 10 is excellent.
Okay.
Best score you're going to get.
So aim for 10.
Exactly. But you see the advertisers that are below number one also have quality scores, which are a bit lower. So there might be something suboptimal about their landing page or about their ads, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But to understand how the ranking takes place in the search results, it's important to understand the ad rank. The ad rank is fundamentally the order. And the way you calculate the ad rank is multiplying your max bid by your quality score. And just to highlight your max bid, in AdWords, you actually set a max bid. And what you're actually saying is, this is the maximum number that I'm willing to pay per click. So in this case, it can be a different final number, but I'm willing to pay as an advertiser €2 in this particular auction. We're not going to go too deep into how you determine like the level of your bid, but it's saying to Google, okay, no matter what happens, I'm not going to pay more than €2. So you enter that into AdWords, then there's the quality score, and it gives you an ad rank of 20 in this case. So just to give a second example, advertiser number two, they're willing to pay a lot more. So apparently it's very important to them to be in this auction, but since their quality score is a lot lower, multiplying 4 by 4 brings you 16, so they're in second space, second position at the moment. Does that make sense?
I think it does. I hope it does. I think it does. But also, I think maybe it's you were mentioning this, and I know we're talking about ad rank, but we're also talking about search in general.
Yeah.
I think also probably worth just saying that even if you say you are willing to pay 2 or 4 and you're setting it as a max bid, you are not necessarily paying that.
No. We're going to get there in a little bit. You're a little bit ahead of the slides, but sure. So no, that's it. But that's extremely important to stress, because often, especially when you're managing AdWords accounts, you're implementing all the bids and everything, and for some reason, like after a while, you're thinking this is what I'm going to pay, but actually it's not. And it also ties back to like having a high quality score. But we're going to get there in 2 slides. But just to like this concept of how you kind of rank in the ads in the search result is extremely important. So like on the next slide. There's been a shift. So let's say that advertiser number 2 has decided they're willing to pay even more, even though they have a low quality score. Like, as you can see in the example, it's still possible to get position 1 with a fairly low quality ad or low quality score, as long as you're willing to bid high enough. So in this case, they're able to get ad rank 21. So they're just past us, which is really bad because now they're in position number 1. So you can see that there is a relation between those two. And you might say, well, if your quality score is somewhat low, why would you be willing to bid so high? Because there's often a reason why it's low. So maybe you're getting people into your website in a suboptimal way. But just to give you an example of when this might happen is if you choose to put up ads for a competitor brand. So let's say diapers.com has a strong competitor and people are looking for that brand name. You might want to put an ad up there to kind of convince them to come to your website. Now, your quality score is going to be a bit low because you're not as relevant because people were looking for the other brand. So you're a bit relevant because you're offering a similar product, but you're not super relevant because you're looking for something different. So there can be a strategic decision to still take the number 1 spot to kind of compete with your competitor in that sense. So there's still a way to get into number 1. Now, back to what you were saying about what am I actually going to pay? So the calculation is fairly simple. And just one thing that really still amazes me, by the way, is this all happens while someone is looking, right? So you often see how quickly the search results actually pop up and you see, I don't know, 2 milliseconds.
Yeah.
This whole auction happens while the page is loading. So that still blows my mind, but kind of beside the topic.
Quite complex,
So if you look at what you're actually going to pay, we're back in position number 1. So advertiser 1 is nicely on top again with a good quality score in €2. So what are they going to pay? The calculation is fairly simple. You actually divide the ad rank of the competitor below you by your own quality score. So here, having a higher quality score will actually help you paying less as well. So in this case, for example, in position 1, the quality or the ad rank of the advertiser below is 16. I have a quality score of 10, so that means €1.60 plus 1 cent. So I'm going to pay €1.61 for this particular click if someone clicks. And that goes downwards as well. But if I had, I don't know, a 5 as a quality score and was still in position 1, like that division would have been less beneficial for me. So having a high quality score will actually help you pay less and make the auction even more efficient.
That's really cool.
It is really nice. Yeah, and it's an important concept as well because it really should motivate you to always strive for high quality, even though you might be in position number 1, get more relevant so you can also lower your cost, for example, by upping your quality score. So it's always important to realize. Is that, is this a coherent story?
It is completely coherent.
Okay.
If it doesn't, or if you have any questions, please post your questions and we'll come back.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing, and especially the speed of it is interesting. It's an important concept to separate max CPC, which you're setting in the account, from what you're actually paying, and then in relation to delivering high quality. So if you go back to the quality, like I said, there's hundreds of components, but you can kind of boil it down to 3 separate topics. So there's ad relevance, there's the landing page experience, and then there's the expected click-through rate. So those are kind of the 3 things that you can optimize that will help you to get a better quality score. And all of them make sense. So ad relevance, for example, has to do with the fact that you're advertising for particular keywords. So in this case, I'm advertising for diapers. It's a hot topic at the moment. I want to make sure that the ad actually...
Working with an advertising.
Interesting topic.
I don't know, I don't know. Diapers. We're going to get into holidays later on, so we should be okay. So with regards to ad relevance, you want to make sure that if someone is looking for diapers, that they're not going to get an ad for holidays. You want to give them an ad for diapers, right? So ad relevance means, is your ad closely related to the keyword that you're bidding on? So that makes total sense. Then the second step is the expected click-through rate. So is your ad likely to be clicked on? Are you offering something that will actually help people and make them come to your website? Are you offering something really good? Are you offering great delivery times? Is there another reason why people might want to click on your ad and not on someone else's ad? An expected click-through rate is sometimes a bit dodgy. Like people are a bit hesitant in understanding like what it is. Like the way that Google looks at it is like we've seen thousands and thousands of auctions before with the keyword diaper. So there's kind of an understanding of how well an ad should perform when someone is in position number 1, for example, for the keyword diapers. So we have an estimation on how likely it is that someone is going to click on that ad based on that position and that particular query. So your ad is kind of measured against that. Are you overperforming towards what we are expecting, which would be a high click-through rate, or are you kind of underperforming? And the way that you can improve this, and that ties back to the extensions, is offer a lot of relevant information. Offer information that will make people want to come to your website. Say, we've got the best discount ever. People want to click on that and come to your website. So play around in your ad text to ensure that it's highly relevant and people actually want to come to your website. And then the last bit is the landing page experience. And again, diapers is the last time. If you click on a diaper ad and you land on a page where you see strollers, that might not be as relevant as what you were hoping to find. You actually want to find a page where you see diapers that you can buy, right? So the landing page experience is really important, especially in retail. You want to be somewhere where you can click a buy now button. You want to have a clear overview of the cost. So there's a lot of components that kind of help determining what a great landing page is. And I think we've all been there. You all know examples of pages where you're just going to go away. Like you land, you just want to leave. And other pages where you're going to buy immediately. You want to be one of those pages.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
So if we were to kind of summarize a little bit and say, what exactly can you do to improve the ad relevance? What can you do? What are the specific tips? You mentioned some of them, but
okay. Bring it down to 3 points. 1, write ads that are super closely related to the keywords that you're bidding on. So make sure it makes sense in relation to what someone is looking for. That's ad relevance. It's actually fairly easy. 2, make sure that people want to click on your ad. So tell them what they need to hear. Tell them like the information that they're looking for, and tell them why they should be like clicking on your ad and not on someone else's. And then 3, if people come to your website, do not disappoint them. Make sure they land somewhere where they find what they were looking for. And that sounds pretty basic, actually. It's common sense, but especially in larger accounts, it's sometimes tricky to achieve. But like those would be the 3 main things: relevance, relevance, relevance.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Makes sense?
Yeah.
Excellent. And that's kind of the last thing on quality score and like the relation with the auction as well. It also ensures like the high quality that the auction will stay fresh and that people will keep using it. So I think the reason that Google has been so successful is that it relates to users, advertisers, and publishers alike. So users find relevant ads with things that they were looking for and an easy way to get to the websites that are offering them. So users find Google extremely relevant. And for advertisers, that's important as well, because they're getting the users that are coming to their website and they've already indicated what they're looking for. So it's fairly easy to make them do a purchase. So for advertisers, the relevance is important as well. And then for publishers, and that's more of a display thing, they get paid for the impressions. And because of the high relevance, they often see their profits go up a lot as well. So the whole ecosystem built around quality ensures that everybody is finding what they need, either relevant users, the product that you need, or the profit that you want. So that kind of ensures that search keeps improving. Oh, I see that we're getting to the technical stuff now. I love the technical stuff.
Let's look at the accounts.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Are we fully good on the auction?
I think so. Yeah.
No, I think I'm good. Do you have any questions from?
I don't see any questions as of yet.
Right.
No. So I think we can move on to the structure.
Okay. Yeah. This is probably the sexy bit, and this is what makes a lot of people that are a bit analytical very happy. So we're going to go into account structure, and account structure is something that is very important in AdWords, because it kind of determines where you're going to bid on what, where you're going to put your ads, where you're going to kind of categorize, and it also ensures that you're going to be able to get a high quality score in the end. So that's kind of the end game here. And when you look at an AdWords account, there's a couple of layers that you're influencing. So the highest level is an account level. So an account pretty much covers like everything else. So if you're going to advertise for, I'm not going to do diapers anymore. Let's go with something else. Is there a different product that you have in your mind?
Red shoes.
Yeah, let's go with the red shoes.
Or caps.
Always. Let's go with the red shoes, because if you're going to go into the help center at some point, you're going to find examples of red shoes. And for some
That was
reason,
not very creative.
It's all good. So let's say, like, for the account level, I'm a shoe store. So my account would be the shoe store account. So everything is going to be in that account.
It's swapped here, right? So the highest level is the account that's at the bottom. So
it's kind of a difficult discussion, because the account is the fundament, and then you start building in there. So it's kind of a perceptual. True. So within the account, you're going to have campaigns, and campaigns kind of help you to split the rest of what's in your account. So campaigns have a certain theme. So in this case, if my shoe store sells not only shoes, but also bags, I might have a campaign that focuses on shoes and a campaign that focuses on bags. And the next layer underneath that is ad groups. So let's stick with the shoe example. So in the shoes campaigns, you're going to have ad groups, for example, for red shoes or for black shoes or for brown shoes. So you can actually segment further. And the reason that you want to do that is because the ads are also on an ad group level. So to make sure that your ad is relevant to what people are looking for, you actually want to have an ad group for red shoes in your case. There's going to be keywords in there for red shoes, and then there's going to be a relevant ad for that particular product. So red shoes ad in that sense. So it's kind of the build up to set up an AdWords account. And that seems a bit abstract maybe, so we put in an example as well, and let's go to the holiday example. So many examples. So let's say that I'm offering holidays, and I have summer holidays and winter holidays. Let's just keep it at those two products, just to keep an overview. So in this case, I would have a holiday campaign, but within the holiday campaign, I would have two ad groups, one for summer holidays and one for winter holidays. And that's because in the end, I want to have a relevant ad. So in the summer holidays ad group, there's actually a couple of keywords that I'm advertising on. So those will be the ones that I'm expecting people to look for in Google. So if someone is looking for a summer holiday, I want to show that particular ad. But if someone is looking for a winter holiday, I want to show a different ad. So the ad, for example, takes that keyword into consideration, but might also name things that are relevant to that. So in the summertime ad, you, for example, might see trips to, I don't know, Turkey or Greece or Italy. Or in the other one, you might see trips for ski areas or, I don't know, something very different that you might do in the winter. So splitting that up is important because it helps you to keep an overview of what's where, but also to ensure that the keywords are closely related to the ads, to the landing pages, and have a lot of structure in that. In terms of expansion, there's a lot of opportunities as well. So for example, if I started to also advertise on holidays in general for people that don't specify what they're looking for, there could be an extra ad group just saying holiday with keywords such as holiday or vacation, with a particular ad for that. So building those layers in your account kind of helps you to separate the keywords and understand where the value is, and also optimize the ads for particular areas. And just to give you a screenshot of what that looks like in an actual account. So this is an example of that particular setup with the holidays. So in the top left corner, underneath all campaigns, you can see the grayed out word holiday. That's the campaign. And there's two ad groups underneath. So summer holiday and winter holiday. Now, don't look at all the tabs on the right-hand side yet, because there's a lot of functionality in AdWords that we're not going to be using today, maybe not ever. So focus now on campaigns, the ad groups, and the keywords. Those are the most important ones now, plus the ads. So as you can see in this particular view, is that there is a keyword for summer holiday and for winter holiday, which are both in their own little ad group, and will both have their own ad as well. And as you can see, there's a lot of metrics. This one hasn't run yet, but there's a lot of metrics that you can use to kind of optimize your account later on. But I think we're going to get into that, not in this session, but in the session later on.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So optimization, not for today. So don't be put off with all the options that you have in AdWords. There is a lot of things that you can tweak, but the principle is kind of the same. Everything relies on keywords. Keywords are related to ads. It's all stuck in an ad group, which is under a campaign in an account. That should be your first setup. After that, you get all the rest. We kind of stir it a bit with the keywords. So you're actually bidding on a particular keyword. So what you're doing is you're expecting someone to look for that query or that keyword in Google search, right? So in this case, let's go with formal shoes. So there's a lot of different ways that you can structure that in your account. So keywords come in a couple of shapes. So the easiest one to understand is the exact keyword. So if that's in your AdWords account, what you're saying is, I want to show this ad for people that are looking for the exact phrase, formal shoes, in that order, nothing in front of it, nothing after it, just formal shoes. So that's quite specific. So people often add little things like formal shoes now, or in a shop nearby, or whatever. That can be anything. But if you're advertising exactly, it's just going to be exactly that. The good thing about that is there's often a lot of control, because people that are looking for exactly that word are super likely to convert, because you are very specific with your ad. You can give them a great landing page, so it's fairly easy to be very specific. Now, the downside is that there's often not a lot of volume, because you have to match exactly with that. So exact keywords are great for performance, but you might want to use some other ones if you want to get a bit more reach and find out what people might be looking for otherwise that you haven't thought of before. And that's when you can use phrase keywords, for example, which is kind of like exact. The difference is that there can be something in front or after the word. So in this case, men's formal shoes, or formal shoes for men. So the phrase still has to be in the same order, but there can be something in front or something behind it. Then if you go one step further up, it's modified broad match. What we do there is, like, formal has to be somewhere in the query, and shoes has to be somewhere in there, but the order doesn't really matter anymore. And there can be words in between or after it. And we'll also look a little bit at words that are kind of related. So formal shoes might match with evening shoes, because they're often, they're kind of in the same vein. So there's a lot more flexibility there, and a lot more opportunity for you to match with what people are looking for. The possible downside with this is that you're going to get a lot of reach, and you might also find things that are less relevant. So in this case, if someone was looking for formal shoe repair, you might not be offering that because you're selling new shoes. So you would be hitting that query as well with a modified broad match. So be careful with that. There is ways to direct that a little bit, but be careful with modified broad match in that sense, because you might be targeting a lot of stuff that you didn't think you were going to target. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah. Oh, yes, definitely. And as you said, there are ways of making sure that doesn't happen. But I was going to ask you exactly precisely on that, like, how often would you recommend them to check? And also, actually, two questions. One is, given the budget that most of the groups here would have, which is $250, would you recommend to go for only exact? Or would you recommend to have a combination? Or should we test and check, and how often should we check?
I think the best way, like, no matter the budget, is to always have a mix. So you're expecting performance to be great on exact keywords, and it's highly controllable, so you want them for sure. So when you're setting up keywords, think of what people are going to be looking for when they want to find your product, and make those exact keywords and control those. But you need to modify broad keywords in that sense as well, because you want to understand if you're overlooking something. People might be looking for your product in a different way than you're expecting. So with modified broad, you still have an overview of what's happening in the market, and especially around new products. We often see a lot of queries that we've never seen before, and you didn't really anticipate. So just to give you an example, we often see it with the launch of the new iPhone. One thing that a lot of advertisers overlooked the first time we had a big launch is that people started looking for Samsung phones as well, because they were comparing the two. So they were kind of making the decision, am I going to buy a new iPhone now, or am I actually going to buy a Samsung phone, and comparing those two. So it's important to have both. Look at it a lot, I would say weekly at least. But if you optimize your account, you'll often see with the number of unexpected queries will decline once you start cleaning that up. That's a good question.
So just to check in again, like, modified match is the one you would recommend, or rather an exact match? Or these two are the ones that seem to be referenced most?
Yeah, like what you see in a lot of accounts is that phrase match is a bit outdated.
Okay.
It used to be used a lot, but modified broad match gives a little bit more flexibility. So because it matches with words that are kind of related, it's still highly relevant. But with phrase, you're always stuck with it, like the order. So modified broad and exact would be the ones to go with. As you could have seen, like, there's also broad match. Please don't use that on small accounts, because what happens there is that, we'll relate to anything even though it might not be super closely related. So if you're going to stick with something, stick with exact and a touch of modified broad, and then you'll have a beautiful growing campaign.
And then I think also another important point is that you can also check actually, once you start running your campaigns, you will actually have an opportunity to check the report, the search terms report, which will give you a list of keywords that the queries that are actually coming in. So once you actually have started, there will be more ideas for you, which you can check, and then you can start kind of modifying, and also use exclusions. And what are exclusions?
So here we're mainly talking about positive keywords, right? The keywords that you want to target. But it's also possible to add negative keywords. So you're actually telling Google, if this word is in the query, we actually don't want to show it yet. So with regards to the formal shoes, if there's repair in there, you can actually say to Google, add negative repair. If repair is then in the query, we're not going to show your ad. So by doing that, you get a lot more control over where you're going to be shown and where you're not going to be shown. Yeah.
But being careful with that as well. There's a balance.
There's always a balance, and there's a lot of testing involved. So
I think like the moral of the story is test it out, see what works for you. Really.
Exactly. But don't stick to just exact. That was a good point, because you're going to be very siloed to what you think people are looking for. Exactly. There might be a lot of queries that you didn't expect before.
And we'll actually have a separate session where we would look particularly at optimization, what types of reports to look at in the account, to be able to optimize it and really capture those things that can be really important. So we actually have one question, and I'm thinking maybe we can just address it now because it's very relevant. So the question is, with regard to the previous topic, where in your account can you see the quality score of your ad?
Yeah. Okay. So the quality score is being calculated at the keyword level. So when you go into the account, you actually look at a keyword level to find the quality score. And it should be a column in the keywords tab. You might not see it, but there's also an option to add more columns. And you will find the quality score column there as well. Now, there might be some cases where you don't see a quality score for a keyword. And that has to do with the volume on that particular keyword. So we'll only show you the quality score if we've got enough data on your keyword to actually make a proper estimation on quality score. That doesn't mean that there's otherwise not a quality score, like there's always one, but we'll show it to you when you've got enough impressions and enough clicks to kind of make an estimation. Yeah.
I think we could also share a link to the support center articles where there will be where we explain like very well where you can actually find them and how you can add columns and so on. So
yeah, that might be good.
Yeah, super. Right. Yeah.
Oh, we're up to conversion tracking.
Nice.
Finally.
It's me.
Excellent.
So guys, anything Anastasia before I start?
No, I think it's just important to say that this is really the key, because without having that, but I'm sure you will mention that yourself. So I'll give the floor to you.
Feel free to interrupt if you forget anything. So guys, we're going to talk about like conversion tracking and what it is about, how you set it up, a little more common phrases, terminology that we'll be using. So first of all, we're going to start off, what is a conversion? And I'm sure you guys, we mentioned it a few times during your talk, Martin. Yeah. I'm sure you guys are wondering, what is this? For us, a conversion is a set of action or a series of action that companies want their users to complete on their website or offline actually as well. And these actions are shown, or conversions are shown in AdWords once a user has interacted with your ad. So either seen an impression of your ad or actually clicked on your ad and completed this action on your website. These actions or conversions are defined by the company. So it completely depends on what kind of company you have, what industry you're in. So it could be anything from, imagine if you're a retailer in this case and you actually want to sell red shoes or a nice dress. Let's use a nice dress. We're not going to go back into the shoe example. So let's say you want to sell clothes. You see an ad online or you Google search first, like dress, near you, whatever. What comes up? A nice ad. Either you click on it, you go onto the website, you browse through it, but you want to have a little more think about it before you actually purchase the item. Or you might not even interact with the ad, as you won't actually click on the ad in this case, but you only see it and it's kind of on top of your mind. So for the retailer in this case, the conversion will be for you to purchase the item. That for us is more core like a macro conversion. So it's like the end goal. But also we have other types of conversions that you can have. So if let's say you have anything from like downloading a PDF to find out more information, or users even visiting like a key website for a key like page for you. You're running a competition currently, and you want people to really see this. So you're running an ad, and the landing page for them would be the competition website.
Yeah.
So for them, that would be the conversion would be to download or see the website. So it all depends on the industry, the company, the seasonality. And if we then go into what kind of types of ways you can measure conversions, so there's a few different ways. For us in Google, we actually have two different types. We have Google Analytics, where you can track your conversions, and you can track conversions through AdWords conversion tracking. So these are two different types of tools. They're also reports, so you can see then how people are actually seeing your ads and then end up converting on your website. And in this presentation specifically, we talk about AdWords conversion tracking. But really, I would really like you to ask, when you then get meet your business, you know what you're going to do, really ask them, hey, what is your objective of running ads online? Do you guys want to sell an item, or do you guys want truly bring more awareness to your company, or is there anything else you want people to subscribe or become members? It could all differ, right? So in this case, for Google Analytics, if your client already uses Google Analytics, you can use that, and you can actually import goals or transactions from Google Analytics into AdWords. So you don't have to set it up if that already exists. So really check with your client what kind of setup they're already using.
So is it a bad thing if they don't have analytics, like if they just use AdWords? Or?
No, not at all. It really just depends. So depending on what kind of business the client is running, they can set up conversion tracking as well. I think if your client is not using anything, maybe the easiest is conversion tracking, if you do have access to the client's page's source code. So,
and when we say conversion tracking, we mean conversion tracking which will be set up directly from AdWords.
Exactly.
So not the Google Analytics one. But
exactly.
If there is a Google Analytics already in place, because some of the businesses may have it, maybe the easiest would be to actually go with the Google Analytics transactions. And it's
really just depending on what client, what they're already using. So as we were saying, like Google Analytics, if you already have it, awesome. If you have goals and transactions set up already there, you can just import them, super easy peasy. If they don't have anything, possibly conversion tracking would be the best option, because you only have to set it up. Let's say it's much less code you actually have to implement. So it's easier for you, really.
And do we have instructions for how to do this?
For sure.
Obviously, everybody would want to set it up or figure out how to do it.
Of course you do. So you can, in the end of all these slides, I've included some useful articles, some YouTube tutorials. If you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot. Anastasia is on the button today. So we'll try to bring But so go back to your slides, actually. There are different types of ways you can track conversions. So anything from like purchases to newsletters to signups. You can even have like app downloads and event tracking. So there's loads of different versions. Today, we're only going to focus on website conversion tracking. But the rest are possible. There are just options there if you guys want to go into that.
But it is important to stress, because sometimes it feels like a conversion is always like a box moving out of a warehouse to someone's house. You can conversion can be so many different things.
There's so many different ways of doing it. But as I'm really stressing, you only see a conversion in AdWords once the user has seen an ad on your website and then ends up purchasing, right?
Yep.
Or downloading, or whichever way it is. And anything completely depends on the industry, as we were saying. Really depends on the end objective of the client. So what I really want to stress here, guys, really check what kind of objective the client wants to, what the business really wants to do with conversions, how they want to track it. And as well, see what they've already set up already. So see if they have Google Analytics, see if they have AdWords conversion tracking, what would be easiest for them to set up. Really check with them when you get to know them. Cool, and then guys, we're going to go to the next slide when we're going to talk a little bit how you can set it up in AdWords. So some new terminology, guys. Let me see, so I have everything ready. Because there is some new definitions.
Yeah, I think tracking is one of those things that people are always a bit scared of. It's so fundamental for doing your AdWords properly. So be sure to ask the partner you work with or the client you're working with to understand what they're measuring and how they're measuring it. It's going to determine how you decide what success is, right?
And I also would like to add by saying that it's really not as scary as it may sound, and really not as difficult, because I know from experience the students who have been participating in this competition previously have been collaborating with businesses who are actually very happy that there was somebody eventually who wanted to define this for them and who wanted to help them. And I know some students got access to the Google Analytics of the businesses they were working with, and they were setting up those goals themselves. So really, it depends a little bit on the business as well. But it's really not scary. It's super important to think about. Also because you're coming to this, and I'll not touch upon this, but there are different ways for what we can actually, it's not only for reporting that we need our conversion tracking, but there's also other uses of that.
For sure. Also worth mentioning here, can we just go back to the previous slide? We can share this as well. I want to share a little bit about how a user's journey is really. So imagine now, let's go back to actually a holiday. Martin's example of a holiday. It's February, guys. We want some nice and sunshine here in Dublin.
Sorry.
Yeah, right? So imagine you want to book your summer holidays. And you want to go with a group of friends, but you don't really know where to go, or maybe you do know where you want to go, but you want to really check up the prices. What are the different options for you to go? So you go onto Google search and you go, flight to Dublin to Paris. Wouldn't be that bad, right? Paris in spring or summer. What happens actually is when you interact or see the ad or click on the ad, you then a cookie is launched into your browser, which pretty much communicates then to the website, hey, this person has seen your ad. Then when you then convert, or like you take some time, you chat with your friends, you go, should we go on this holiday? When do you want to go? All these particulars, you need to have some time to decide. And you come back maybe 2 weeks later and you go onto the website and you convert, as in purchasing the flights or the holiday, the hotels, the dress, whatever it is. And that's when you will see this in AdWords. So let's go to then how to set this all up.
Just a very quick question. And for how long will they know that I have?
Super good question. Super good question.
Yeah.
So the company actually decides themselves. They define how long time they want the cookie to be there, pretty much. So literally the time span between what is relevant for them when a user clicks on an ad until when they convert. Because completely depending on business and industry, maybe 1 week is all you want to have in between the ad click and the conversion. But in some industries, you have a much longer customer service cycle. So they literally might take 1 month before they decide. So we have up to 90 days where you can decide. And let's now go back to how to set this all up in AdWords, guys. So loads of terminology, loads of facts here, but pretty much what you have to see is when you go into AdWords. So on step 1 here, you're going into tools and you go into conversions. And here you can see in the second step how this really looks like in your AdWords account. Guys, please feel free to follow along if you already have set up your AdWords account. It's much better when you guys can actually see and kind of feel how this actually works in a real life scenario. So then you see the little plus symbol there where it says conversion plus, it's a red box. If you click there, it will come up the different options of actually what kind of conversions we have here. And this is only for AdWords, guys. So it's a different system than if you want to import the goals and transactions from Google Analytics. But if we go to step 3 there, Today we're going to look at website conversions, which is the option most to your left. And when you then go in there, you can see the different terminology there. Let me see. So first you have to obviously decide what is the name of your conversion. You want to decide if it's maybe it's a sale or maybe it is a lead. It really depends. You might be just running a campaign temporarily and you just want to track those conversions for that particular campaign. So you might name it whatever you want. And then if you go to the second option, you can actually see their values. So when you do that in a real life scenario, it will open up and you will have 3 options. So you will have the option to either have no assigned value to your conversion. This will be most relevant if you're having, let's say, a sign up or something, a conversion that doesn't have a numeric value to it. It might just be to actually bring brand awareness. You also have an option to have a fixed conversion action value. And that means that, let's say you only have maybe selling just one product, or maybe you know that the amount of members that sign up, the sign up fee to become a member in your club is €10. So you'll know that it's a fixed sum.
Yep.
So it's a fixed value in this case. Or the third option is to have a dynamic value. And this one, as we see most commonly with retailers, for example, they might have, different shoes. If you have running a shoe store online on e-commerce, you have different. You're smiling more than again.
We can't get away from the shoes.
We can't pull away from the shoes. Here you really see for every single pair of shoe, probably you have different values. So we do see this most commonly with retailers, or airline industries as well. Then we have we're going to skip the count part. But what I really want to stress here, guys, is the conversion window. So this is what we're talking about is you have a set amount of time. You can define here how long time you would like to have between the maximum amount of time between the ad click and the person actually converting on your website. Anyway, when you've set up all of these different options, and guys, I'm sorry I'm skipping some of the parts. We're a little bit squeezed on time.
But also we will share.
We'll have guys. There, like in the last slide from my part, there will be step-by-step instructions on how to actually set this up and some more information. So don't worry about it. You guys feel free to shoot questions if there's anything there. So then when you say done, there will be automatically generated in AdWords a code. And this code is called the AdWords conversion tag. And this one you can then implement on your conversion page. So let's say that you have a thank you page after you have booked that trip, or you have purchased those shoes, or you have purchased diapers in some cases. You reach a thank you page. You can then implement this tag in the source code. And when this page loads, then this hit will actually fire into AdWords. And AdWords will then know, this person, Sophia in this case, has clicked on ad or seen my ad, and then eventually reached this page. So really communicating back to AdWords an action has to be completed. And you will see it reporting then in AdWords.
So that little piece of code that you generate when you set up the conversion event or the conversion in AdWords, will you only place it on one page? The thank you page?
So it completely depends. So it depends on a conversion action, right? So let's say I'm using this only as an example for retailers in this case, or for anything that has a thank you page where it's only one thing that you're actually selling, right? And then you will have it on the thank you page. But imagine you might have loads of, or most of business actually have multiple actions they want you to complete on their website. So you can have anything from this tag is only on that page, but if you have multiple different tags, you can implement them on different pages.
That's right.
For AdWords specifically, you only implement it on the page where the actual conversion takes place.
That's right.
If you're using Google Analytics, you actually implement a tag on all pages, and you then set when you want this goal to be completed. So you have other types of settings, and the setup is quite different. We shall include one of the articles as well, I think, about how to set this up in Google Analytics, guys. So we cover on all bases. Then, guys, I want to talk a little bit about reporting interface in AdWords. There are different types of columns. They mean different things. We have touched on some of the terminology before. But if you go into the AdWords interface and actually check, if you go into the columns tab there, which actually Martin also mentioned, you can select different types of columns. And if you do go into performance, you can also, and conversions, you can see then you can add different conversion columns to your report. So just mentioning some of some more important columns that we're seeing is the conversions column. These are, the conversions here are only shown if they are included in the conversions column, if this conversion action has been included in the conversions column. And how you set this up and how you actually select it is from when you define the conversion action. So I know, guys, we skipped a little part, but from the previous slide, when you actually set it up, you have an option there to include this conversion action into the conversions column. And if you have included it, whatever conversions are driven from this conversion action will be reported in a separate column. And this is to give businesses more granularity of what actually conversions are more important to them. They can select then which ones they want to have in a different column. And also they can choose then to use bid strategies against just some conversion actions. More definitions of columns. We have all conversions column, and this column particularly includes all different types of conversions. So anything from like cross-device conversions to normal conversions to store visits, all of it is included in this column. Guys, and we're not going to go into more details with just about this part, but check it out, play around with it. There's also a question mark above all these columns, and it will give you a definition of what it actually is. As I said, now we're having some more definitions we want to talk about, and we already covered all conversions and conversions. Cross-device conversions is super interesting type of definition, and this is really for the company to understand how users how they convert.
Sure.
Because in today's age, like you imagine, like the way that at least I use my phone, for example, I would browse maybe on my phone in the morning. When I wake up, I'll check what's going on, and I might come across an ad. But then later in the day, I would actually explore more options and look into it further on your desktop. So this cross-device conversions column and this concept is we can actually look into how users convert. Do they use different devices before they actually convert? And then view-through conversions is conversions that occurred not after, when a user has seen an ad but never clicks on it, and then actually goes on to the website organically and converts. And when I say organically, it means like if you go into H&M.com right after seeing a H&M ad, you will actually, and you end up converting. That is when a cross or a view-through conversion should be reported.
Yeah. I think especially the cross-device is very interesting. Because hardly anyone like makes a purchase in one go, right? Especially with more expensive products.
Sure.
So you do some research, you do something on your phone, you're making the road, and then you come up and you do something. So cross-device is really interesting and sometimes a bit overlooked by advertisers.
No, I think it's really interesting. The way that we use devices nowadays, we have at home, you have a tablet, you have a phone, you have a computer, maybe, you have different ways that you actually cycle before you convert again.
Yeah, so you have a lot better understanding of how things are here. Yeah.
Exactly. So we're going to use browse into a little bit about bid strategies and how this can be used. So if you're using conversion tracking, guys, you can really optimize your bids to drive more conversions. So really, if I'm not going to go through any details because I know we're going to be touching this in different in one of the different sessions, but
that will be next section.
Next session.
Yeah,
okay. So guys, super brief. The three different ones you're seeing here, all of them want to optimize these different bid strategies. Optimizes for conversions, and this means that AdWords actually modifies the bid, the auction price a little bit. To drive more conversions, so drive more users who are likely to convert on your website. So anything from driving for the first one, enhanced cost per click, is really to drive more clicks that will lead to conversions. Target cost per acquisition is that you set up how much you want to actually spend for a conversion to take place. and they try to optimize for that. And the third one is target return on ad spend. So that's really a percentage on, if you want to spend €1 on advertisement, how much do you wish to actually, what is the conversion value that you will drive out of that? And how much revenue? Because guys, in the end of the day, it's about revenue that the client, or revenue or branding that the customer wants to. Exactly.
Makes sense.
So really, like an overview of this, guys. Through conversion tracking, you can really see what keywords, what ad groups, what campaigns drives people or users to actually convert on your website. You can really understand your return on investments. You can really see how much are you actually spending on your advertisement and how much that actually leads to revenue or brand awareness, etc. You can also use different flexible bid strategies to drive these conversions and try to optimize as many conversions as possible. And finally, cross-device conversions, as we were saying, super useful. The business can actually understand how users end up converting, what different devices, what kind of devices are part of the actual user's path to convert. And finally, we have some different resources included there. So you guys check it out, play around. I think the whole essence of it is to check it out and see. I know it's super brief. Thank you.
Thanks. I hope it makes sense. I know it's probably a lot of information, and it's probably very condensed. There's much to take in an hour, or a little bit over an hour. We will be sharing, we received a question on the chat about the slides. We will be sharing the slides, and also feel free, obviously, to rewatch this, because this video will be available. And in addition, there will be, as Sophia has just mentioned, there'll be additional resources for you to help you, basically to guide you a little bit through all these vast amounts of the materials available. So, but apart from that, remember to have a look at certifications. There's plenty of information which is really valuable. If you have questions, because this is where you're actually starting now, to really understand the account, to understand how to set everything up. If you get those questions, please use our G+ community. We will be there available, answering and addressing them. And apart from that, I'm still super excited about this program and hope that you are enjoying this as well. So see you otherwise next week for the next session.
Excellent.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
See ya.